Alrighty, this is October 24th, Sunday pre-cap for myself and for my own accountability. Um, Looking always for easy Monday plays, and then usually follow the week with whatever the momentum is at. So, number one is SCKT. Looking on the daily, it looks like it did a very similar move as it did before, with a huge pop around the ER momentum, and then almost a full dollar sell-off on the same day. We had a very similar situation, big pop, more than a full dollar sell-off on the same day, 93% selling volume, and I would expect similar action as we had last time, which is hopefully a push on the first and maybe even the second day, just because of how much volume we had traded. This time around we had more, we had 170, and short anything um, below the supports that we put in. I'm looking at 415 as the ultimate stop out, or in this case, I guess I'm pretty convinced it's only going to go one way. So 415 as hopefully doesn't get there. I don't think we could push that much. And on a smaller time frame, eyeballing. Um, my initial entry was around here when I got my alert, and then we had a volume getting stuck around this area, and then eventually when it broke down, I shorted under VWAP. So the goal is it pushes up above 3 and maybe gets to VWAP. I'm really hoping it does. And any kind of crazy standard deviation move, I would make sure that, follow to see if it's more or less than what it did before. But I would expect it to be a smaller range, and if it is below 0.8 and then it ends, that's my probably full short. But I will start adding in between VWAP and resistance into this huge supply sell-off area. So this is major adds on short side. It might not get there. Hopefully it does, but if it doesn't, we have other options. So SCKT, by the way, is a 4.7 million float. It's profitable. It hasn't had any recent offerings, and it has $1 million in cash. So it could push just like it did a few months back. So it could open lower, open at 2, and push all the way to 3.5. Would not be surprised, or to 3. So we'll wait and see how it goes. Obviously, need to make sure it's not the top runner as well, because I don't also want to go long on this crap company. S&D is the other candidate that I really like looking on the short side. Had it just put in an all-time high, but it has a lot more overhead supply. I mean, it has a gap to fill to 2.15, and then above that 270, with inflection at 245, and I hope it pushes up as high as it can, but there's nothing on the daily that I see that I would think that it's a good long. And on a smaller time frame, I mean, this move was not sustained. It's basically a pop, so potentially there might be some news coming out, and I would hope that it goes up further. Maybe, retest 2.2, 2.75, and my short would be anywhere above these areas once it breaks down. So let's say it goes to 2.4. When it goes to 213 and goes down, I'm shorting right here. Obviously, might look for a VWAP, follow through action, as well as to see what the standard deviation tells me. But I just see selling. I don't see that much volume that could really change the direction of where this stock goes. And again, looking on the bigger time frames, this has happened before. We had substantial pop, sell-off, run up and pop, sell-off. I guess you could say run up and pop is what we have right now. and it could just as easily sell off once again. The only thing that's making me think is it's not in oversold territory yet. We'll see where this opens up. But again, 89% selling, very similar to SCKT. And the only thing, also the reason why I think it's going to pop more than SCKT is because it's 12% short float, which is substantial. And it also has a small actual float, which is 23 million, but half of that is institutional, so it's closer to 11.5 compared to 4.7 for SCKT. And the volume is 10x, not as big as SCKT, of course, but it's there. So both of those are good candidates to short. Both of them we'll just need to make sure they're not the most active stocks in the morning. Next one I'm looking at is INUV. It has some sort of cult following. There's some pumpers on Twitter that are pumping it because of what happened here, where it just went nuts day after day for I guess like a 5x return. But then, if I remember correctly, they issued shares 723. Right, so they dropped, and I guess maybe they issue shares back there too. Yep, of course. So basically they pop, they issue shares, squeeze it, issue shares, announcement, squeeze it into the fill, and they're doing the same thing. So I would expect almost identical pop and share issuance. It's definitely the downtrend, big time. Huge resistance at 70 cents, and honestly even around 60 based on the Fibonacci retracements. I could see that as a resistance point, so I'm actually going to go ahead and put that in. Let's make it a little fatter. And then nothing on the daily. This looks even a better short than the other two, honestly. 72 million float, no short percentage, and it's not profitable. And it's issued. And looking on the 5-minute, this last pop looks like a gift. It's a nice little pop. There's no standard deviation about it, so it's not out of the ordinary. So this is not likely to be trend changing on the upside. So we would just use, honestly, I would like it to break above 43, fail at 46, and then I'm shorting in this area on the downside. Obviously using the previous high as a stop loss, just in case if it goes up further. But then again, I would be shorting on the next reversal using 60 cents and 73 cents as my resistances. So let's see what happens. But those are my 3 short watches for Monday for the easy setup. Of course, there'll be something on the day off. I don't see any follow through long situation. I do like blue. It just has a huge gap to fill, and there's really no resistance for the longest time. Honestly, even this previous support is now turned resistance. Objectively would put around $6, and the entire issuance filled plus some at what is it, 234, 235, and it's only a 55 million float. And now that it's filled, it really doesn't have anywhere to go. Clearly there was interest to fill this. The only thing that I would like is I would like a pullback to this more to the cleaner regression channel trend. So maybe somewhere around 250s. That's what I'm like. Below 250s, above 245 in these volume buying areas. That's what I would like. And then this would be a long, probably. Clearly, overhead supply is stacking up, but it's also new. It's not something that people are going to be looking to sell off. It's most likely something that will just keep accumulating, and maybe at some point when this gets ridiculous, like uh, 4 or 5 times the volume buying. But yeah, 62% buying on the day. Definitely looks like a good long, and most likely a swing, not a day trade. Um, Another one that I like to look, well, the two of them, these are just kind of a wash because of election. Both DGLY and UONE, they have history of running. DGLY just put in a really nice double bottom, so I like the potential support that we're getting here around 190. It really bounced off of it on the 5 minutes when it touched it, so that was lovely to see. And now it's in those little volume areas where there's interest and some buyers. So I would look for unbalanced volume to keep increasing and this thing to curl up, and just look into daily, potentially go up to at least 233, retest it, and then I would like to see that to become a support and keep going to something like 280, and 295 would be my final target, because it's not the most prolific stock to be moving, but with some volume this could be at least 20-30% move. UONE, well, this is, this one set the record for the craziest few days climb of the year, and then it's had a massive sell-off because obviously it wasn't substantiated, but we do have the elections coming up. It's a basically BLM stock, and there really is a lot of overhead supply, probably still some shorts in it, and it's back on a positive trend. So I would say, from putting in this recognized bottom according to my stuffs, this thing is going. So anywhere between 4, just below 5, and 5.5, I think it's a buy. And had a little pop, so probably sold off a little more, and this little while makes me think that it's not selling off. The difference between blue is that this actually is maintaining adjusted volume on multiple time frames at above the usual. So this could go, and I'm actually holding this over the weekend with around 540, 550 average, I think. So let's see what happens. So this is also a swing. No real day trades on the long side. I do have a CTIB short reversal algo identified. Well, not algo, but my watch list situation. And I definitely see where it's coming from. We have a trend up reversal, but there's a ton of overhead supply similar to UONE. So this could pop and probably still off front. I guess it already cleared this area, so yeah, this could go up a little bit more. Definitely still looking on the short side. So that's the last one that I'm looking at. So altogether it's CTIB, actually both long and short, and then SCKT, SND, and INUV short, and BLU, DGLY, UONE long. So let's see what Monday brings. Of course, there'll be some game time decisions as well.